first to the floor here.
First to the floor podcast. Shout out to Australia.
Jordan Crawford, nice move with the dribble.
Here's driving on Stoudemire. The jumper, yes!
There's the diving save by the
Yeah! Boston wins! Tatum drives down and throws it down!
You guys are talking about a dynasty. Here's where it is, right here.
That's enough for the tie.
The best team in the world right now.
Marcus Smart at the buzzer. Shireman in the deck.
Welcome in, First to the Floor podcast. Ben Ballas here, along with Wayne Spoony. Spoony has with some shaky internet today, but we're gonna push through and we're gonna make it work. The JB trade, Spoony, it's almost behind us. Summer League hoops on the horizon, man. How's it going?
Really good, dude. I tuned into some Summer League today. I was watching the Philly Pistons game. It was really like fun, good Summer League game. They both have, first round pick point guards, which I just feel like really helps smooth out a Summer League game in a lot of ways. And all I could think of was, man, I wish we were there. Like, gosh, I wish we were at Summer League so bad, dude.
We were almost going to be there too. And then I had just like for, I don't know what they call it, inside baseball or whatever, how the sausage is made. I had some family thing come up, which I'm about to go to tomorrow all week. So not only will we not be in Vegas because of that, but I'll also have very limited access to even watching the Summer League games. But we are going to be in Boston later this year for the First to the Floor live show, catch a couple of games as well, hopefully hang out with a couple of people from the Discord community and folks who watch this show who live in Boston, because none of us do, unfortunately. So we're going to get to the Summer League preview soon. And thank God, man, just like basketball, like bouncing the ball, putting it through the orange hoop or the orange ball through the hoop, also the color orange. Anyway, I'll shut up. Before we get to that, probably the last segment we'll do on the Jaylen Brown trade. Yeah. And I'm really starting to get Jaylen Brown trade fatigue at this point. But the articles keep coming. This one from Brian Robb at masslive.com, essentially aggregating Zach Lowe. I thought I had a screenshot here. I do not. Here we go. There we go. So NBA Insider reveals hidden influence Jaylen Brown had on the Celtics trade to the 76ers. Basically goes on to say, yes, the Celtics did their due diligence canvassing the league for a potential trade partner. But, and here's the relevant part, quote, this is quoting Zach Lowe, I think there was at least one or two other teams who might have been interested in Jaylen Brown and who got intel that Jaylen wasn't interested in them and to maybe stay out of the bidding. I think Boston felt that circle closing. And Bobby Marks then went on to say Portland was kind of a wild card since they had 5 guards who can start. And quote from Zach Lowe again, that's one where I'm like, did Jaylen Brown want to be there? I think all of that is what drove them, the Celtics, to do the trade now rather than later. And then subsequent to that, JB, I think in the last 24 hours, liked some Instagram reel today where they were talking about the fact that Jason Tatum like pushed him out of Boston. So as much as we'd like to like just move on from the Jaylen Brown trade drama and just like get on with our lives, we keep getting these like little morsels of drama and intel. What's your take on this latest turn, Spoony?
Look, I love Jaylen. I defended Jaylen from day one. People were crushing that pick on the Reddit. I have some very well aging Reddit responses to those Reddit posts from 10 years ago. Love Jaylen. I'm not gonna miss having to deal with this type of shit, man. Especially the last couple years, like what does he mean by that? What did he mean when he said that? I like, this is part of the Jaylen Brown experience that I'm ready to kind of be done with. Tatum, I think, is famously kind of uninterested in like swaying what the team does or how it operates. Now, I think he was lying when he said he found out like we all did. For sure. Yeah. But I also think he has full trust in Brad Stevens, who's been here his entire career and he's won a championship with. And if Brad's like, hey, we have to make some really hard decisions, and one of those is going to probably be trading Jaylen Brown, Tatum's probably like, okay. But I don't really think he has a role, except for getting Emile Jefferson hired on the coaching staff. I really don't think he's had a role in any roster decisions for the Celtics. So why would this one be any different? And I understand Jaylen indicating that he has preferred places to go. I do kind of think it's weird. Like, he's got 3 years on his deal. Like, that's a very long time to convince a guy to stick around, or trade him on the last year of his deal to a place he does want to go for a team like Portland. So I'm a little surprised that scared teams off. But look, it's a negotiation. There's leverage on all sides involved. I don't blame Jaylen for using his leverage to get somewhere he would rather go. Now, given what he said about like wanting touches and having his own team, I'm surprised he'd rather go to Philly than Portland, because that Portland team, he really does slot in perfectly next to Denny. I mean, it's a little wonky of a fit, but certainly he'd have more of the ball there than he's going to have in Philly. So I do find that surprising.
Yeah, if I had to guess, and obviously we know nothing, it's entirely speculation, but I don't think that he necessarily forced his way to Philly. I think it's more just like Philly just didn't give a shit and we're like, fuck it, we'll roll the dice and we'll just like, player like Jaylen Brown falls into your lap in exchange for Paul George and a couple of picks, and like, you got to do that. So I think it worked out well in that sense, but it is annoying. And you're right. Like, of course, he's entitled, Jaylen, to use his leverage to the best of his ability, control where he does and doesn't go. But I think what I was surprised in reading this was like that was an element that played into the ultimate market value of Jaylen in this trade. Clearly, it was going to be hard enough because of the financial ramifications and the need to extend him and all the aspects we've talked about being the motivation for Boston trading him in the first place, and the fact that this has just added to the difficulty in this maneuver of a trade is just frustrating, but it is what it is. I thought it was worth talking about. It really just feels like fallout from sort of the main event, which we've already discussed ad nauseum through multiple podcasts at this point. We can probably move on because there's quite a lot more news to get to. But anything else on this, or do you have any sort of like afterthoughts on the Jaylen Brown trade at this point?
I've been really flirting with getting back to writing, not like regularly, but I do feel like I have sort of this kind of desire to get my thoughts down about the Jaylen Brown trade where they're more organized than like talking on the pod. And one thing I think I haven't, people have said like, oh, fit usage, but like, this is really an extreme, like sort of like an experiment in like, how far does sort of this analytical model of running a team stretch, right? Like, well, let's assume Paul George barely plays next year, right? Like, given what the analytics say, there's an argument that we should be considerably better than we were last year.
Yeah.
Just by not having Jaylen Brown on the court. I suspect that won't be the case, but also I think it's fascinating that like throughout his entire career, that is what the numbers have said, is that we are better with him off the court. So I'm just really fascinated to see how that plays out as sort of like this team building theory, right? Like the original example of this conversation happening that I can ever remember is Rudy Gay getting traded from Memphis.
Yeah,
and there was like the ball knower, like the ball. I can't remember I can't remember his Twitter name, but the guy I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
He's just like a dude is like, this guy's a hooper. This guy's a problem. Like, I don't care what
Nick knows ball guy.
Yeah. I'm not even sure. I can't remember what his name is, but like, they were all like, of course, Rudy Gay is awesome. He averages 20 a game. Like, he makes mid-range jumpers like he's Kobe, and he can dunk, right? And then this was like the very beginning, like Hollinger was in their front office and he was sort of the godfather of basketball analytics. And there was this groundswell of like, actually, he's not valuable because all he does is give you sort of moderately efficient isolation scoring and not much else. And then Memphis went on this like ridiculous tear the second he was off the team. To me, like, Jaylen's obviously better than Rudy Gay ever was. So, which makes it even more interesting to me because it's like, how far does this extend? I'm fascinated to see next year.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating season. Like, I'm glad the moves we've made around the edges, like Mitch Robinson, Mike Conley, etc. Yeah. But it's almost a shame in a vacuum that we don't get the like for like rosters only led by different Jays in consecutive seasons, just to get like the full analysis on like who is better in isolation being the 1A on the same team would be a fascinating experiment. It's going to be somewhat close, but the fact that Jason Tatum has a guy like Mitchell Robinson and a sort of a 1 year improved Nemish Queta to toy with, and how much he elevates the production of bigs that are on the court with him. It's not like for like, but it's still interesting enough from a statistical viewpoint. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting takeaway. Jake Eisenberg, I haven't got a screenshot of his article, so I'm just going to show this picture instead, which is still in our StreamYard. What's up, Jake? Had an awesome write-up sort of summarizing the Jaylen Brown trade, the impetus for the trade, all the little details that went into the motivation, and really why, and like the title and the premise of the article was like why and how this may well lead to Banner 19. So I think it's a really good write-up. Comment section, predictably extremely divisive, as has been the entire internet in reaction to this trade. But I think that's just a really good, condensed, summarized viewpoint and a really, really well-written article outlining the trade. So definitely go check that out. It's on CelticsBlog.com, and we'll throw the link in the podcast notes as well. I think we should hit PrizePicks and then come back, talk about Delano Banton, the NBA's best theoretical player, being waived by the Boston Celtics. But before we do that, Spoonie, a quick word from our friends over at PrizePicks.
Women's basketball, baseball, they are heating up. It's the summertime. You may have heard we've got the world's biggest soccer tournament taking place on American soil. We are fast approaching the final of that large tournament. And of course, most importantly, it's summer league time. So you can make your picks for all these events and more this summer on PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. The summer's a perfect time to start getting into soccer, not just the big tourney, but pretty soon it's going to be August and there's going to be some English footy on. The entire summer of soccer is on PrizePicks, and if you rep your side during the tournament on PrizePicks, you could win a trip to the final in New York. That's going to be incredible. It is the biggest tournament ever, 48 teams, which means there's even more opportunities to cash in while you root for your favorite national sides and global soccer stars. And boy, are the stars showing out. This is an incredible World Cup. So download the app big soccer tournament. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. PrizePicks, a preferred partner of the NBA.
Shout out PrizePicks. Shout out the CLNS Media Network for presenting this show. Spoonie, have you got any picks like queued up for us today, or?
I do. One sec as I load up PrizePicks here. You think I would have it preloaded, but I absolutely do not.
Got some internet issues today.
Yes. So I went with soccer. So Belgium plays tomorrow against Spain, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're going Jeremy Doku, Moore, 5.5 attempted dribbles. Pretty sure he did that in the 15 minutes he played against the United States. Lamine Yamal, Moore, 0.5 shots on target. He's really not been that great in this tournament. People thought it was going to be a coming out party. I believe he's 18. But he'll get a shot on target. That's all we need. And then Leandro Trossard, maybe been one of the best players at the tournament. Arsenal winger, Belgium winger. More 0.5 shots on target against Spain, but I think Spain's going to win that game. Hot take.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. I know nothing about soccer, but they sound like very, very astute picks that if you
thank you, appreciate it.
You should emulate. And of course, Spoonie's never been wrong, so definitely go for that. Not a guarantee.
Counting.
Delano Banton, sadly, waived again, albeit a very necessary maneuver. Here we go. Here's a tweet from Adam Himmelsbach. So his 2.8 mil non-guaranteed salary off the book. So the Celtics are now under the luxury tax line by slightly less than 2 mil. I think it's like 1.92 mil or something like that. And obviously we need to be under the tax line by the end of the season to complete our repeated tax reset. We also had this $27 million TPE from the Anthony Simons trade, which obviously we don't have a lot of maneuverability to use, being so close to the luxury tax line. And after signing Mitchell Robinson using the full non-taxpayer mid-level exception, we're hard capped at the first apron, which is about $209 million. So we've only got like 10.5 mil room under that apron, which would still take us above that tax line. So we can't use the full TPE. And I was reading this like really interesting write-up from old friend of the show, Larbird33 on Reddit, talking about like what could we possibly do in this like small pocket of maneuverability. And essentially he's basically saying, so we've got this 10.5 mil room under the apron. You can't use the full TPE, but if you look at the options around sending salary out, like for example, Sam Hauser's $10 million annual salary, suddenly you've got like 20-ish $1 million buffer to play with, which I thought was interesting. And then he goes on to talk about Denver and their salary situation, making them an interesting trade partner to consider hypotheticals with, as in the Nuggets are currently sitting at about $211 million on the books with only 9 players under contract, which sort of puts them over the first apron and a stone's throw away from the second apron. So in theory, they're going to be looking to alleviate salary. And then I promise I'll shut up, Spoonie. Guys like Cam Johnson makes $23 million per year, and he'll be an expiring deal next year as well. Peyton Watson, unclear of what's happening there. If Denver are going to be able to secure him, it makes him a potential sign and trade candidate. So I guess zooming out from that, do you think we're just going to sit pretty on what we've got? Do you think we're going to be looking to utilize maneuverability similar to that to make an additional move? Or, obviously Delano Banton lowers us under the tax line. Do you think we're just going to sit there, or do you think we're going to look to make additional moves?
So just kind of one thing I do want to say about TPEs, if you use it in the following league year, it hard caps you at the first apron. So, but since we're already hard capped at the first apron with Mitchell Robinson, this one was created last league year. So it sort of like dovetails nicely in that, like, it would have been a limiting apron factor, but it doesn't matter because we're already hard capped at the first apron with the full MLE with Mitchell Robinson. So yeah, I think let's just call it 2 million of space under the tax, give or take. I think if anything's going to happen, first of all, I think there's zero chance we go above the tax line. I just think, like, we did all of this hard work to get back under the luxury tax line. Ain't no way we're going back over it for Cam Johnson, who had an absolutely terrible year last year. And I think kind of does not bring a whole lot to this team. Look, he's shooting, he's got some size, but I just think that the whole point of clearing the books and Drew and Al and Porzingis was to reset the repeater tax. So I think the chances of us then jumping right back over when we're here, we can just move this roster forward as is and reset the repeater next offseason. We've got a very good team. That said, using Sam Hauser and the TPE together allows you to create another TPE so you can roll it into next offseason. So I would not be shocked, right? Hauser's 29. He's a very interesting, useful piece for a lot of teams. I bet he would have a legitimate market. And I'm not really sure what we would get back. We'd probably, if we want to get back someone better or younger, we're going to have to attach picks, and I'm not necessarily against that. I'm not really sure what that name is, but I would not be shocked if we see a trade like that keeps us under the luxury tax line, resets that a TPE, albeit a smaller TPE that we'll have next offseason when we are willing to go into at least the first apron. And, just kind of changes the way this team looks a little bit and clears some minutes for the Ron Harpers, the Ugos, the Baylor Shiremans, because Sam is a little redundant with those guys. He's better than all of them, or at least more proven than all of them. But if you want to see what you got with those three, like Sam moving on, getting another TPE, and finding somebody who balances the roster, maybe a guard who's a little bit younger, can make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's interesting how Sam Hauser continues to pop up in sort of these hypothetical trade discussions. I guess it's like because of his salary, and you kind of mentioned like the sort of overlap and somewhat redundancy, given that we've got players of a similar archetype on the roster. And like shout out to Sam LaFrance. How about them Celtics podcast? Great show. Go check those guys out. But I know Sam's been on the like get Sam Hauser off my team bandwagon for a while, and respect his opinion. I'm big time like let's keep Sam Hauser. I think he has a really valuable skill set at a really team friendly price point, which is not a hot take. But I would love to see, going back to talking about what this season will look like with Tatum at the helm instead of Jaylen Brown. I think Tatum unlocks Sam Hauser to a degree that Jaylen Brown was not capable of, and I want that level of cheap 3-and-D skill set on my team for as long as possible. I think maybe the argument for moving him is that you create more minutes for your Ugos, for your Baylors, for your Walshies, etc. And maybe in this sort of transformative year, that's when you want to do that. Maybe you can make the case for that. But Sam Hauser, I just think I wouldn't want to see him anywhere else. I just think we need 40% shooting and reliable wing defense. We need as many players of that archetype as possible. So I'd prefer to keep him.
Yeah, he is one of the. There's really not a whole ton of 3-and-D wings in the NBA. Like a lot of the guys are like good, like good defenders that shoot 35% from 3 on like an okay volume. Like Sam is an elite, one of the best shooters in the NBA and can defend his position. Those dudes are very hard to find. He's locked up for 2 more years after 26, 27, when he'll just be 31. So like I'm with you. Like there are probably some guys out there that would intrigue me just from like a skill set and like age perspective that maybe aren't better than Hauser, but might have some more potential. And, I do kind of think we need a guard to balance the roster out a little bit, but I'm with you. Like I am totally fine with keeping Sam Hauser around for exactly why you described.
In the meantime, Vale Delano Banton, yet again. I hope that he comes back for a third run.
The third time we've said goodbye to Delano.
I thought it was the second. It could easily be the third or the 10th. Who knows?
Yeah, but he is the theoretical player.
I'm going to miss him.
Before we get Delano.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We'll do the Delano Banton, what could have been deep dive on the Patreon as well. So make sure you subscribe there. Before we get to the Summer League preview, folks in the chat, please, let's just love each other. We're all Celtics fans. We're all aligned here. Speaking of and this is on our run sheet, Spoonie, but just like reactions in the comments and things like that. 2 things. So I posted Jake's article on Reddit. I think a couple of other people did as well. And one of the comments was like, I really enjoy your podcasts in the wake of the Jaylen Brown trade, but I found your last pod to be like really condescending in like telling me that I shouldn't feel a certain way about the Jaylen Brown trade, which I think is a fair enough reaction. Like, because I've always been against people online trying to dictate how other people feel in response to things. So I apologize if I made anyone feel that way. Because it's all, again, like going back to talking about the folks in the comments, like it's all love. We all just love the Celtics. We just want to see the Celtics win. So that's really what it comes down to. I do think that there has been sort of this lack of even an attempt to formulate a baseline comprehension of why this trade went down. It's why you should go and read Jake's articles because it's really good. So my frustration with the fan base comes down to that, is people not even trying to figure out why this has happened. And then there was another comment from I think a parent who was like, I was listening to your show in the car,
that was hilarious.
and you guys dropped like 10 F-bombs in like 5 seconds. Just like 2 Aussies drinking beer late on the pod, like talking about the Jaylen Brown trade. So for that, I don't really know what to say there, because I guess
what
apologies
with us.
Yeah, it's emotional times and language is gonna fly all over the place. I would just say for any young people listening, obviously there's a time and a place for using colorful language, and on a podcast with your buddies is a great time to do that. Ideally if your parents aren't listening, but obviously like not in the workplace and that kind of stuff. So never really felt the responsibility to say anything like that, Spoonie, but after reading that and as a parent myself, it kind of felt necessary. I don't know, any thoughts on that before we move on to Summer League?
Look, me and you were screaming "fuck you, Draymond" in front of like a 7-year-old kid at the finals. So like, whatever.
Core memory.
We're through the looking glass here, Ben. But also I will say, like, I know you, right? We've hung out in person multiple times now. We've spoken more hours than I can even possibly comprehend on the podcast. And so when in the last show, when you were like, just get on board, people, like just figure it out and get on board. Like I knew where you were coming from. What is just like, hop on the bandwagon. Let's all do this together. We all love the Celtics. Let's fucking cheer for the team. And like, we all love Brad and Tatum, and we miss Jaylen, but let's go, like, get on board. We're in this together. Yep. But I do understand how people could have taken it the way where you're like, how do you just not get this, idiots? Yeah. And I know you did not mean it that way at all. Yeah. But I get why some people might have taken it that way. And I got yelled at on Twitter for it. So thank you for that, Ben.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Highlighting a certain comment completely out of context and putting it back on the internet. Yeah. All right, Summer League preview. I think a couple of things to get to here. So the first game is going to be on the 10th of July against the Toronto Raptors at the bedtime friendly time of 9 p.m. Eastern. Couple of things. So I think headline, rather than going through the entire roster. So roster headliners, Hugo Gonzalez, obviously huge headliner, very much in the category of like might be shut down after a game or two. I think. Please tell me if I'm overrating Hugo in that regard. Chris Sinak, Dylan Mitchell, Amari Williams, who I'm really looking forward to seeing, because I think like we'll be able to make sort of a tangible evaluation of how he looks compared to last year, maybe more so than others. And then Celtic favorite, John Tonji as well, back for another run with the Celts, as far as at least according to the roster data that I've got here. And then Emil Jefferson as the coach. I guess like, what are you looking out for? What are the big storylines? For me, like the easy one is Ugo. We saw him have a pretty decent showing at the recent FIBA tournament. I don't know if you saw the interviews with him today, but he's got like this giant bruise on his arm from taking like an epic fall. It's like one of his arms is just like purple, and he's like, it's fine, and it looks like it's about to fall off of his body. But just Ugo, how he looks relative to last year. Yeah. Like we know that he's got this kind of like hoops acumen that sort of goes beyond his years on this planet and with the Celtics. And I'm just interested to see how he sort of problem solves against sort of like a sub NBA tier quality of opposition out there.
Yeah, and Nick's been sharing the clips of him playing for Spain. I wonder if the fact he's already been playing will kind of limit how much they want him to participate in the Summer League. But I'm with you. I think Ugo is like the clear number one for me. He showed what he could do. And we know he's going to defend, and we know he's going to play hard, and we know he's going to crash the glass and do all that stuff. Much like Walshy last year, I'm really interested to see how much he's rounded out the rest of his game, how confident he looks on the ball. If he can, is he going to take some pull-up threes out of the pick and roll? Like, what's the corner three when it gets swung to him look like? How's he look driving closeouts and finishing through contact and things like that, where he'll get some like real opportunities to play like 25, 30 minutes and be on the ball a lot. So to me, he's just like so clearly above my interest level, other than Chris Sinak, who, I spoke briefly about on the pod. Like Sinak is a really tantalizing prospect. He's fucking huge. Like he is 6'11" with like a 7'5" wingspan. Yeah, and the way he moves is just so fluid, and he's so athletic, and he's so smooth with just like sort of his biometric motion that like he's not that good at basketball right now, and it kind of doesn't matter. He can still like contribute. So I cannot wait to watch Ugo Chris Sinak run pick and roll. It could be a complete and utter disaster. It could be so bad, but also I'm like, there'll be some times where Ugo just pops up an oop pass to Sinak and he just goes and gets it and snatches it and slams it, and we're all going to get super hyped. And this team has a chance to be like an absurdly good Summer League defense with Dylan Mitchell, Ugo, Sinak, Uzan, who is a Houston guard, who's like a very like just a 4-year starter, Oklahoma for 2 years, and then Houston for 2 years in the Big 12. He's just like a veteran guard who plays hard, defends, can shoot a little bit, can dribble and pass a little bit. Like, and Amari protecting the rim, like we might just be like shutting teams out in this Summer League, which I'm not really sure what to take away from that, other than that could be really fun too. But I really want to see how we use Sinak and Ugo together, because that's the future. Those are the two guys on this team that really truly have a future.
Yeah, I'm imagining a lot of forced turnovers and a lot of running and a lot of alley-oops being thrown, particularly in the direction of Sinak. So and like Dylan Mitchell as well, a very highly rated defensive player. So it's going to be a really interesting squad. And like I wouldn't say Summer League teams, and like we know this firsthand, we saw them. They're not like known for their sophisticated offensive production. So to have a defense of that caliber that's like just able to shut off the water for probably a much more talented team is going to be quite interesting. And then hopefully they can just get buckets in transition as a result of that. What are you looking for with Amari? Because, Luka Garza is kind of, our third string center at the moment. that position is probably at least somewhat up for grabs. And I think we all know there's a limit to the evaluation you can make of a player in summer league as it pertains to how they'll work out in the NBA. But like, what are you looking for with Amari in that regard?
One thing I talked to Nick about last offseason when we drafted Amari, and my concern with him always was the way Kentucky used him was sort of as like a stationary hub playmaker. And the Celtics do some of that, but it's not like a huge part of our offense. We much more use the bigs as short rollers. And I couldn't find any tape really of him short rolling and making plays out of the short roll at Kentucky. I want to see what if Amari can do stuff out of the short roll. Can he take a dribble and finish at the rim? Like we saw Nimi really get pretty good in the short roll last year. And that directly led to him becoming a valuable contributor who's now like on a 40-something million contract. And so I'm curious to see, like, is Amari gonna be able to take a dribble and either get to the rim and finish or make the correct pass out of the short roll? Because they're different reads than when you're like the trigger man out of like zoom action and there's a guy coming out of the corner to you and you've either faked the handoff or you give it to him or you hit like the backdoor cut. You know, he's amazing at that stuff. NBA teams take that stuff away, especially in the playoffs, right? But the short roll is often there, especially when you have Jason Tatum, who they put two on the ball in the pick and roll with. So his future on this team will be dependent on his rim protection, which I'm always also curious to see how he looks in drop, and if he can do stuff out of the short roll.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that like that would be awesome, but how is our personnel in terms of like getting the ball delivered to Amari in the short roll? Because I think that's like not an easy pass to make. It's in theory it does, but you kind of got to be able to like look over the screen and also have the sort of peripheral vision in terms of the defense closing in on the big in that short roll position. I mean, I would just love it if Ugo was just absolutely like diming him up from that position. I think my take on Ugo going into last year was like, oh, like European, like definite guard skills. And then like he kind of played out as like more of this like big
Sean Marion.
Like like more of a wing and like less of a sort of a playmaking guy. So I don't necessarily expect that from Ugo, but damn, I would love like someone's got to deliver those passes, and that would be spicy. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. I think also just like, because we went through this with Nimi as well, the ability to like set those picks and then like get out of them quickly and effectively and like reposition yourself effectively as well, rather than just lagging in that regard. Like that's an area where like microseconds can make a world of difference in terms of the space that opens up in those sets. So that's going to be really interesting to see. Yeah, and I think I mentioned it before, but just like Dylan Mitchell, like, you know, I like thrive on dunks, Spoonie. I feast on them and they feed my family. And since Blake Griffin, which never really panned out the way I wanted it to, we've not really had like a prolific dunker on this team. I know Walshy's throwing a couple of down.
Jaylen,
yeah, but Jaylen like lost a bit of his explosiveness, right, in the last few years.
Totally, yeah.
So just like feed me dunks, Dylan Mitchell, please. My family is hungry, so I would love to see that.
He will.
Yeah. And then like I'm just excited about all the stuff that happens in the periphery on Summer League. Like Joe Mazzulla's there. He had a couple of quotes coming out of a courtside interview today. So just excited. Again, I wish we could be there, but just all the sort of additional content and data points that come out of Summer League. And really just looking forward to watching the green and white go up and down the court after what's been like a noisy and long period of time between the last time we saw any Celtics play basketball.
Yeah, that's for sure, dude. One of the more contentious off seasons I could remember, because even last year, like everybody knew what was happening. Tatum blows his Achilles out. We already knew like, okay, well, we're going to cut all this salary. Like everybody's going to be gone. We're just going to kind of rebuild. This took a lot of people by surprise, right? With the Jaylen trade. So you're absolutely right. Like this has been a contentious, sort of like emotionally taxing off season. And Summer League is just so pure. It's just about the basketball, man. And that's what I love so much about it. But there is someone I have to talk to you about that's on the roster, Ben, if we're okay to move on.
Please.
Tucker DeVries. Do you know anything about Tucker?
No, nothing.
Tucker DeVries played his entire college career for his dad, Darian DeVries. And 2 years ago, West Virginia University, my alma mater, and I'm still closely associated with West Virginia University, happily signed Darian DeVries from Drake to be our coach. And he brought his son Tucker to play for the team. Went gangbusters, opened the season, had 2 ranked wins in like the first 5 games. We didn't have a single ranked win the year before. Everyone's like, wow, this WVU team. They got Javon Small, who's now on Memphis, and Tucker DeVries. DeVries looks great. DeVries plays 7 games, misses the rest of the season. His teammates come out and say he faked an injury because his dad was talking to Indiana during the season behind WVU's back. Push come to shove. His dad gets hired by Indiana, leaves us, still has like 3 or 4 years left on his contract, leaves WVU, takes Tucker with him, and all of a sudden Tucker is healthy and plays the whole season in Indiana last year.
Oh, come on.
So I hate this motherfucker. I hate him. All right. But he is 6'7", 210, solidly built dude. Like, he's strong. He is a complete and utter lights out shooter, including off the dribble. And he's very Sam Hauser-y in his shooting, but he has the feel and vision of a guard. Like, his passing is legitimately awesome. His quick decision making is legitimately awesome. I would not be shocked if we come out of here and he is like the 5th starter on the summer league team and people are like, wow, this guy looks really, really good. He can't defend for shit, and I don't think that's going to matter in summer league, but I think he's going to really, unfortunately, impress people with the way he plays offense.
Tucker DeVries, remember the name, huh? For those who don't already in Spoonie's game.
I like to call him Tucker
DeVoldemort. Why not drafted then? Like, he sounds like a pretty enticing prospect. Is it just the lack of defense?
Right, yeah, he's like 24, and yeah, he like, we had to play zone with him a lot just because like he just has no chance in space. But like, so that's why. And he was still like, Vicini has had him in his top 60 for like 3 years straight. And he just kept going back to school because he was making tons of money. So he was very much in the draft mix for the last couple of years. Just to the way he plays offense is, I mean, he's good. He's really good offensively. He can't drive really, but like the shooting and the passing combination is like pretty unique for that player archetype.
So if he comes out like Carson Edwards, like bangs 4 threes immediately, kind of like, what's the mental pathway for you in terms of like recalibrating your approach?
I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to take it, man. It's going to be very difficult for me. I'm really going to have to think about it.
That's for first of the floor listeners. Hopefully that adds an extra spicy layer to watching Celtics Summer League. I know it does for me immediately. That's awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of coming to terms with players you hate, I had been meaning to ask you this, maybe off the pod, but like we've got a bit of extra time before we wrap up here. Obviously, we're not really in the LeBron James sweepstakes, but there was that whiteboard of like, and like off to the side was Tatum and Brad or whatever it was. Yeah. And now we're hearing that certain front office officials are invited to send, I think it's like video messages to Rich Paul to potentially forward on to LeBron James. So I can't imagine Brad Stevens recording a particularly compelling video message, but say Jason Tatum gets involved, something gets in front of LeBron, and there's some sort of pathway to LeBron to Boston on a minimum or something like that. Almost not worth talking about. Seems very unlikely, but hypothetically, Spoonie, how, like, because that would be fucking awesome. Excuse my language. Right? Am I wrong? Or are you just completely against it?
I think you represent the majority opinion, and people would be very happy for LeBron James. For LeBron James to be on the Celtics. I would not be. Ben, I'm like kind of joking a little bit with Tucker DeVries, although I don't like him, but if he's awesome for us in the summer league, I'll totally come around really quickly. Yeah, okay. Like, I forgive you for everything. But LeBron, I have spent 20 years of my life hating this dude. Like, yeah, it's kind of, yeah, dude, it's like a significant portion of my personality. I'm like, in law school, was like the guy who hates LeBron to some people. So I don't want him at all. I don't think it would be awesome. And the fact that he has the audacity to be like, send me a video like you're trying out for Love is Blind is fucking ridiculous, dude. And like, of course, oh, it's another summer of LeBron. What is this, like the 15th summer of LeBron? Like, enough is enough. Like, no, just retire, okay? Like, obviously you want the just retire. Okay. Anyway, so like, no, I don't want him on the Celtics. I don't want him in the NBA. And I want him to retire. Go produce movies. Trainwreck was pretty good.
I'm so glad I asked. That's the perfect answer. I would be okay with it, but I think that's known. Some people in the chat saying like the circus and the sort of the media attention. It's like not conducive to Missoula style Celtics basketball, I think. So, and look, it's not going to happen. So I'm already telling myself why it's not good. But I think for this show specifically, if it were to happen, the Spoonie LeBron, I'm coming around on LeBron content and tracking that trajectory would be incredible.
I don't know what I would do, Ben. Like, it would be legitimately difficult for me. Like, I've had a pretty good life, and this would be one of the more difficult things I've had to deal with.
We might have to pack it up. All right. Speaking of packing it up, we'll leave it there. We're going to be back throughout Summer League, I think, with like instant reaction shows and getting back to our usual cadence as far as like reacting to the sport we love rather than the drama. So looking forward to that. That's going to do it for
real
this one.
quick.
Yeah,
sure. Either tomorrow or Saturday, I'm gonna do like a live Patreon and just like go through Chris Sinak tape and just kind of like break it down, like I've been doing those player breakdowns.
Hell yeah.
Which I'm gonna get back to that and try to do him. I might even do Tucker DeVries this weekend. We'll see. So at least one of those coming in the next day or two.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, looking forward to seeing that. The Patreon link is in the description, so go check it out. Definitely subscribe for more content just like that if you're interested in that kind of thing. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to help us out as well, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the podcast. You can comment on Spotify now. All that kind of engagement helps us with the algorithm and putting this show in front of more people, which we would love to do. Wayne Spoonie, love your work, man. Until next time, go Celtics.